Alright class, so we're going to take a look at some application problems for systems of equations. And in this problem we've got the Angels. They played 162 games. Well, not really in this season necessarily. And they won 28 more than they lost. So what we need to do is set up a two-equation, two-variable system and solve them so that we can figure out how many games they won and how many games they lost. Well, we've got two separate thoughts, and they're located by the periods. Those are the first thoughts. So the Angels played 162 games, okay? So they've got total games 162. And then we're saying, well, they had wins and they had losses. So that means if we had totaled up our wins and our losses, we would end up with 162 total games. You win some, you lose some, but in all there's 162 games. Okay, and then it says they won, so the wins are equal to, they had some losses, but they won 28 more games than they lost. So if you took the losses and added 28 to it, you would know what the wins were. Okay, so what we want to do is solve this system. This is a system now. We want to solve it by either elimination or substitution. Well, we've got a variable solved for, which means that we know what W is. W is L plus 28, which means right here where we have this W, we could put an L plus 28. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and substitute and write L plus 28 in place of the W that was right here, and then write plus the L equals the 162. Okay, so notice I just replaced this variable right here and then wrote plus L equals 162. Once you do that, you don't really need these parentheses anymore, so we don't need those. We're going to go ahead and combine my L's to make 2L plus 28 equals 162. Okay, and then we should subtract my 28 here, and that'll give me 2L is equal to 134. And to find my losses, I just divide that by 2, and that will give me 67 losses. So what that means is I have 67 losses, so that actually answers the second question, 67. To figure out how many games they won, all I have to do is come back right here where it says the wins are equal to the losses plus 28. So if I just take 67 and add 28, so 67 plus 28, that will give me my total amount of wins, which would have been 95. Okay? Now you can check to make sure you have the right answer, well, at least check that you're in the right ballpark by adding these, no pun intended, the 67 and the 95, and that'll give me the 162. If it equals the 162, I know that I did it properly. Okay? So let's try another application. So we've got a fan cost index for the National Hockey League and the National Basketball Association totaled $580.16. The fan cost index for hockey was $3.70 less than that of basketball. Now, whether or not you care what a fan cost index is, or know what it is, or anything, it doesn't really matter. All we know is that we, bottom line, have hockey and basketball. Okay? And hockey plus basketball gave me 580.16. And then it says the hockey was $3.70 less than that of basketball, which means if I took hockey, that would equal the basketball amount minus $3.70. So I just made my two equations and broke up my two thoughts. The first thought was in the first sentence, okay, where I had hockey and basketball adds up to 580, and then the hockey was $3.70 less than that of basketball, which means that if you took basketball and subtracted 370, you'd get your hockey. Okay, so now I go ahead and substitute this B minus 370 is H, which means I can put it right here in place of H. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this to be B minus 3.770 if you want, plus B equals 580.16. And then you go ahead and combine your B's. So you get 2B minus 3.7 equals 580.16. Okay? And then we just go ahead and add our 3.7. and then I get my 2b is equal to 583.86. And then to finish, I just have to divide that by 2 to get b alone. And that gives me b is 291.93. Okay, so now that's the fan cost index for baseball. Okay, in the problem it says, give me the fan cost index for each. So if that's the fan cost index for baseball, then what I need to do is take it and put it right here for where the B is. In other words, subtract $3.70 from it, and I will get my H. So 291.93 minus my 370 should give me my hockey is 288.23. So this would be my hockey amount. Okay? So let's take a look at a different example. Notice each time there's just two thoughts happening. So two thoughts, two equations. There's 184 tickets sold for a play. All right, so we're going to have 184 equals. Well, there's two types. There's two types of tickets. There's general admission, and then there's student ID. So in other words, if I added all my generals and my students, I would end up with 184 tickets. Okay, and then it goes on to say, well, the cost was $5 for general admission. So now this is my new thought. So this is the first equation. Now we've got a new thought. Okay, so for general admission, it was $5. So every general admission I would multiply by 5. Okay, for each student admission, I'm going to multiply by 4. And that is a total of 812. Okay, so if you read it, it says the total money collected was $812. Okay, well, notice I had the 184 tickets. I separated the 184 tickets because I had types of tickets, general and student. So types of tickets added up to 184, and then it says money. We've got money collected, and it tells us what each type of ticket costs. So that's why I put the 5 with the general and the 4 with the student. So 5 with the general, 4 with the student, and then it gives me the total amount that's going to add up to. Okay. Now I've got a system that for the first time here we're actually going to solve by elimination, because it's set up that way. Well, I could actually get a variable by itself and do substitution, but it's a lot easier just to do elimination here. If I multiply the top equation probably by -4 and get a variable to cancel, things will move smoothly for me. And if I do that, the top equation, I can just rewrite down here, is going to turn into -4g minus 4s, and that's going to equal -736. Okay, so I just moved that top equation down here, and you can rewrite the second equation, or I'm just going to scribble this one out here so that we're just looking at the two equations again. Kind of save rewriting it. And my s's should cancel, and then I just continue to add vertically, and I get 1g is equal to 812 minus 736. And that should give me a general of 76. Okay? And now what that means is that there were 76 general tickets sold. Okay? Well, if I know that there were 76 general tickets sold, well, to get the student, all I have to do is realize, again, there's 184 total. So to get students, I just got to take my 184 and subtract my 76. And if I do that, I'll find that there's 108 student tickets that were sold. Okay?